So Iran has begun its retaliation on America. Watching live right now, Iran has launched airstrike on on a U.S. base in Qatar. So the back and forth begins. So apparently Iran warned Donald Trump ahead of time that if he were to attack Iran, that they would, one, give the go ahead to some sleeper cells that they had operating here in America and around U.S. bases. So that was the warning before Donald Trump decided to strike Iran with the false pretense that they were days away from having a nuclear weapon. Trump attacked, and now Iran is responding. Trump's attack on Iran has been condemned by the United Nations. It's been condemned by the politicians here in America. Some are calling for his impeachment because Congress has the sole authority to bring us to war, not Donald Trump.
And you already know, on this channel, we hold racist, Caucasian people accountable, because if we don't, who will? And before we start this video, if you don't like black people, black issues, black talks, get to stepping. And this article is from USA Today. It was published June 22nd, 2025. Iran almost certainly will retaliate against the U.S., but when, where, and how? Iran and its hardline supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, are almost certainly going to strike back in response to historic U.S. military strikes on 3 of its suspected nuclear facilities. But if history is any guide, that response can happen at any time and anywhere and in any form. Former U.S. intelligence officials and diplomatic experts say make sense. And look at his face. He's like, I didn't sign up for this. I was just playing. But I keep telling y'all, everything in this country is an illusion, especially the media. They'll have you thinking that all these countries are targeting our country the whole time. We the bullies. Tell me I'm lying. But that's not it. These people kept their promise. But that's not it. See, we think that it's over. No, it's just beginning. We have to realize something. In this country, we accept everyone. And that's when shit can get real. Run the tape.
See, the problem is y'all think that Iran is over in Iran. Y'all don't realize that Iran ran up in here when those borders was left wide open. This is why the Republicans were crying, close the borders, close the borders, close the borders. Y'all wanted to leave it wide open. Y'all still fighting to keep the borders wide open. Well, guess what? You see how that played out? These people are here. They have sleeper cells set up at any moment. The American people can witness one of the greatest attacks of its time. But the 9/11 was something. These people are in every city. They have been planning this stuff for a very long time. When I was in prayer, I heard the Lord say, death is coming to the land.
Make sense. And that's why on this channel, I'm always talking about the media, because they have the power to brainwash the masses. And that's why I'm always saying sometimes you have to sit back, shut up, and use your common sense and think for yourself. Muhammad Ali said it the best. Check this out. Why should they ask me to put on a uniform and go 10,000 miles from home and drop bombs and bullets on brown people in Vietnam, while so-called Negro people in Louisville are treated like dogs? Make sense. And on June 20th, 1967, he was sentenced to 5 years for refusing to be drafted. And we've been at war in this country. Tell me I'm lying. Our black women go to these hospitals while in labor, and these hospitals and these doctors murder them on purpose. Nothing happened. Our black men in prison are being murdered by these cops and by these prison workers while handcuffed. Guess what? Nothing happened. And in 2025, you still have black truck drivers being hung from trees, and all of a sudden the cameras don't work. All of a sudden everyone plays dumb in these sundown towns. I can go on and on. Tell me I'm lying. And that's why I'm always telling y'all history is so important. These people bombed their own people. This country bombed our people. The Tulsa Massacre, Black Wall Street, they dropped bombs on our people. The 1985 Move bombing in Philly, they dropped bombs on our people. Hurricane Katrina, they blew up the levees on purpose and waited 5 whole days to send help and send aid. You had people on national TV dying, and all they can do is look. All George Bush can do was look. Matter of fact, go watch this documentary on YouTube and you will see we are at war, and the rabbit hole gets even deeper. Check this out. Yes, the government did authorize the use of dynamite during the 1927 Mississippi River flood to relieve pressure on the levees protecting New Orleans, specifically by dynamiting a levee in Carnarvon, Louisiana. This action, while intended to save the city, caused significant flooding in St. Bernard Parish, including parts of the Ninth Ward. The decision to dynamite the levee was controversial and led to conspiracy theories about the government's intentions, with some alleging it was done to protect wealthy white areas at the expense of poorer, predominantly black communities. Make that make sense? I'm going to say it again and again and again. It's important to know your history because this happened back in 1927. On purpose, they blew up the levees just to flood the black communities. And fast forward to 2005 with Hurricane Katrina, they did the same goddamn thing. They flooded the Ninth Ward. The Ninth Ward completely destroyed. I told y'all the game is cold. And before I go, I have to say this, and I have to speak from the heart. To all our soldiers that's going over there, to all our soldiers that's over there, please protect yourself. I really, really mean that. And to my people, you have to think for yourself. Don't trust this media because they already have an agenda. And know your history because history always repeats itself. As we see right now, the same thing that happened in 2001 is happening today. And whatever you do, do not live in fear. I'm out.
And again, for anyone just joining us, we are looking at video from just moments ago of an Iranian missile attack on a U.S. airbase in Qatar. The Qataris have said they've intercepted that attack, but we are, of course, waiting to see and hear of any damage there. This is the largest U.S. airbase in all of the Middle East and has played a critical role in so many different conflicts, including Iraq, Afghanistan, strikes on Syria, and so forth. We are now, again, waiting to see the extent of the damage there, if any, but Qatar has said that they have managed to intercept a lot of that attack, if not all of it. And this could still play a critical role in the region. I want to go back to Colonel Steve Ganyard, who's walking us through a little bit about how this attack was intercepted and the protections at play. Actually, let's go to Rachel Scott, who's been following the reaction from the White House now. Rachel, we know the president is in the Situation Room now meeting with top leaders. Given this attack was intercepted, if there isn't a lot or any damage for that matter to the base, how much pressure is on President Trump to respond, or could he let this go?
Well, politically, this puts President Trump in a very tricky position. The president has been very clear, very direct, that any response from Iran will be met with a far greater response from the United States. But remember, President Trump, as a candidate, campaigned on getting the United States out of foreign conflict. He described himself as a peacemaker, even in his inaugural address. And so you have had this split in the Republican Party. And the president, over the last several days, I was told, was getting a series of phone calls from Republicans on Capitol Hill on different ends of the spectrum about whether the United States should get involved. Some, like Senator Lindsey Graham, urging the president for direct U.S. involvement. Others cautioning the president against it, saying that the United States needs to take a step back here and can support Israel as an ally and a friend, but doesn't need to be directly involved.